Welcome. Today we are going to talk about 3 things to learn from the book Nonviolent Communication. So if you're somebody who's ever struggled with an argument or really hitting a stalemate with someone where things kind of get out of control and we repeat ourselves a lot and we're yelling back and forth at people, I'm going to share with you a few things that you can do or not do to really avoid that situation. And the first one is, so there's 4 things. Number 1 is a process by which you can speak to other people so that they will not be defensive and defend themselves. So if you've found someone becoming defensive when you talk to them, it's because you're speaking to them, you are speaking to them the wrong way. Here's the new way you're going to speak to people, and there's 4 steps in this first thing. So the first thing is to state what you observe, and then you're going to say how you feel, what you need, and you're going to make a request. So state what you observe, and this is observation free from assessment or judgment. So you can never observe someone being lazy. And the key here to ask yourself is, could a video camera see what you're observing? What's actually happening with no judgments? So you could say, for example, I see 4 pairs of socks rolled up under the couch and around the table. And that's either a fact or it isn't. But if you say someone's lazy, like boom, they're going to automatically start defending themselves of why they didn't have time to do what you think they should have done. But if we just stick to the observation, you can't really object to a fact, right? It's either true or not. So make it true, there's no objection. So that's observation. Next thing is, how does that make you feel? And we have been trained to really not be in touch with our feelings. So if you ever find yourself saying, I feel that, that's not a feeling, that's an opinion. I feel that you're a bad father or something. That's not a feeling. Is that a feeling? You might feel let down, or I feel alone or isolated. Those are feelings. Or I feel sad. Those are feelings. But I feel that is never going to be a feeling. How do you actually feel? What actual feeling is going on inside of you? And a lot of times we say things that are actually what we're thinking. So connect with what you're actually feeling. Just like, what are you actually observing? Number 1. What are you actually feeling? And then the idea here, number 3, is what are your needs? Every feeling that can be a negative feeling comes from an unmet need. So you need to check in with yourself and like, what is it that you actually need? Let's say that you're someone who sees a bunch of clothes thrown around the house and that causes you to feel irritated. What is it that you need? You need to have an orderly living space. So I see socks thrown all over the place, or not all over the place, sorry, be specific. I see clothes draped over the chairs and 3 dirty socks on the ground, and I feel irritated and stressed out because I need a clean living space. And then the 4th step, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, is make a request. And this, again, it's not about sales or compliance. This is about making a free choice for the other person, right? So a request should always be a specific positive action that you'd like to see. Not like, oh, you got to respect me, or you've got to let me be me because I'm the man of the house or whatever. No, that's not a request. That's a command, actually. But a good request will be a specific positive action. And when I say positive, what I mean is that it is something that you want them to do, not to do. So what do I mean by that? For example, and then a request should also begin with the words, would you be willing to? Would you be willing to always pick up your clothes and put them in the little basket that we have for dirty clothing in this example? So would you be willing to, is always the beginning. Always put your dirty and unused clothes either in the closet or in the dirty clothes basket. And so that's a free choice for them. And again, this is not about commanding people, but this is about gaining empathy in relationships, right? So once you've made your request, it's good to ask the person, tell me what you heard. Because a lot of times people, if you've been judging them a lot, they're going to hear a judgment in your request, even though there's not one there. So if they hear you wrong, hey, thank you for sharing what you heard. I'm actually saying something different. I want to say it again, and I want you to tell me what you hear this time. So we've got observe. What are you actually observing? What could a video camera observe? Feelings. What are you actually feeling? Not what are you thinking or what does it feel like, but what are you actually feeling? And how is that related to a need that you have? And then make a free request to the person that is a positive, specific action that you want from them. That's how to speak. Next question is, how do we receive? What if someone's coming at you with judgments? You receive and respond empathetically. And what we're looking for here from the first step that we talked about is whenever somebody has a feeling, it comes from an unmet need. And so that might take the shape of any kind of ridiculous or antisocial actions, getting in fights or judgments, moralizing, accusations, all these things can happen. So your goal to receive is to ask yourself when someone, let's say they're being out of control or whatever the case may be, you ask yourself, highest level of thinking here is, what unmet needs or wants does that person have that is not being met? Because that's what they're telling you really by acting out, is I have an unmet need. And your goal, if you want to be a better communicator, is to identify what needs they have that are not being met. And then what you can do is you can ask, like, hey, you appear really frustrated. And I'm thinking it's because you need me to respect your autonomy and to let you live your life, let's say, for example. And that you may be right or wrong. If you're right, they'll tell you you're right. If you're wrong, they will have to search in their heads to correct you, and they'll identify their own need, actually, which is really cool. So we know how now to speak to someone in a way that will not allow them to be defensive. And we also know how to receive someone else's words empathetically and to really feel with them like, hey, they need something that they're not getting. Next thing we're going to do is a few last tips on how to be mindful of your own word choice. We've already talked about not saying things like I feel like. Next one is a big responsibility on your part is to never say the word I have to. Or I have to go to work. Or I have to do this reporting for work. No, like you don't have to. I choose to. And even better than I choose to is I choose to go to work because I want whatever you want. So you're owning your own actions. Because if not, then you're just some puppet of somebody else and you have no autonomy. And that's not true. So one more thing is we're going to always avoid the term, we're going to own our feelings as well as our actions, right? So we will never say, you make me feel, or you made me feel. You are the cause of my feelings. No. No one else can make you feel anything, ever. They can be a stimulus, but they cannot be a cause of your feelings. So for example, I feel X because I need Y. So you own your own feelings. I feel angry because I need order in my living room. And it's not I feel angry because I need you to do A, B, and C. No. Own your own feelings, own your own actions, tell people what you observe, what you actually observe, feel, need, and make requests that are free choices for them, and receive empathetically, asking yourself if someone is acting out or being defensive, they're really just telling you, I have an unmet need here, and it's your job to find out what that is to be a better communicator.